We have showed you into the equipment room and how the Tigers get the helmets put together, but this week we're going to show you something that's unique about this year's helmets. I'm joined with Curtis Cruz from Head Health Network and LSU's head athletic trainer Jack Marucci, and we're going through what these new helmets are. So Jack, when did you decide to implement these new helmets with the team?
I think we started looking at sensors about 3 years ago, and we were trying to find something that's a little bit more sophisticated each year, something that's a little bit more accurate. So we hooked up with Curtis and his group, and what it's allowed us to do, it has been very accurate, has been very maintenance-free as far as the athlete, and I think that's why we've progressed so well this year. So this is the first time we've really got game data, so we can really compare game data to practice data to preseason data. So we are collecting data for the season to have somewhat of a summit with the NCAA and to look at the practice habits, especially in training camp, and how the year goes. As you know, they put spotters in the booth this year, but I think this system will probably will make the spotter basically antiquated, because this will give you numbers that you're looking for.
Is there a position that gets a little bit more hits than another one?
That's the million-dollar question. That is exactly what we're looking at, and that is probably the beauty of this. It shows that the interior lineman, which a lot of people would probably guess, but the numbers that they take between the center position, the guards and the tackles, the offensive linemen, and the defensive linemen within the center of the ball when you're dealing with the two tackles, we see those numbers are probably the highest. And I think it's because the proximity of the player, they take the repetitive blows. And that's what we're worried about, also looking down the road into the future, is that repetitive blow like a boxer would take over a series of hits. And that's where we'll see in training camp the most concussions happen in camp, not during the season. They happen in camp, and it's usually 75% or interior linemen.
Okay, now the outside of the helmet still looks the same, but can you all take me the inside? What is different about this helmet than the other ones?
I could probably show you a little more on that. The outside, there's zero difference. And again, that's why I think the sensor has been such a success. It does not impede the athlete at all. They don't know it's in there. So, and Curtis will share with you what he's done as far as the lining of the helmet.
So if you look inside this helmet, really the only giveaway that there's something different other than a stock helmet is that underneath this tab here, you can see that we've got a blinking light that tells you that everything is on and working. Otherwise, it's perfectly identical to a standard helmet. And underneath the pads, what you would see if you lift them up, we've got a fabric liner that lines the entire helmet. And this is a pressure map that identifies exactly where impacts are occurring on the helmet. And we can also measure the acceleration and the rotation of the head during impacts. Like Jack said, it was important, and one of the primary design features was to make it integrate in with the helmet and not be noticeable by the players. But ultimately, we can collect all the data we need to let these guys learn as much as they need about the game and try to set up practice to make it safer.
Now, you work with the Head Health Network with two other Division I universities. So why is LSU one of the only 3 to have this technology up and running this season?
LSU is known in the industry and around the university ranks for being the leader in not only on the playing field but also in the training room. Jack and his team have been very good about being proactive about new technologies, new tools, and sensors are no different. They've been using sensors longer than anyone else, and frankly they know more about sensors and why they're important in the field of play than anyone else.
Well, this will be interesting to get through a full season with this technology and then how you use it next year.
Yeah, I think that's what we want to present. There's the conferences in Orlando around February 11th, and the medical director of the NCAA, who's already visited here, and wanted us to include us in this summit, as he called it, with some other major universities to look at practice habits, to look at the game, to look at tackling. So, we just feel very pleased that we can be a part of that and maybe have an influence on how the future goes in football.
Well, thank you both so much for letting us see inside these new helmets.
Thank you so much.